Hey, good morning. Welcome to Monday.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today we have for budget review, solid waste, so we'll get into it. So the first fund we're looking at is the Solid Waste Maintenance Fund, 40801. On the revenue side, year to date, we're at just shy of $48,000 of a $180,000 budget for intergovernmental. This is going to be Department of Ecology grants. Goods and services, we're at $15,500,000 of a $28.2 million budget. It's going to be landfill, transport station, user fee payments there. And then miscellaneous, we're at 293,000 of 450,000, and that's mainly going to be our interest earnings. Any questions on that before we move on? On the expense side, we have a few more categories here. Personnel, we're at 1.45 million of 2.77. Supplies, we're at 1,072,000 of a $1,843,000 budget. Services, we're at 10.3 million of 17.2 million. Capital, we have not spent on an $80,000 budget. And then transfers out, we have hit budget at $9.12 million. Current cash balance of the fund is $10,244,000. A lot of numbers in there. The transfers out, that's our funding for our capital equipment, as well as our closure and post-closure for the landfills themselves. Services, that includes both the rent payment, our waste control payments, and any repairs and internal services inside of that as well. Any questions before we go on to the next fund? Sure. Good to go. All right. Our next fund is what we call the L Fund, the Capital Reserve Fund. This is 40802. We got two sources of revenue here. The first one's going to be our interest earnings or sales of used capital equipment as well. We're at $437,000 of an estimated 225. Interest earnings have been doing well on this. And then other financing sources is going to be the transfer in from the operating fund we just talked on. For expense, we have one category. It's going to be capital. Current spend is $2.7 million of 3.5. We have a little bit of equipment I think we talked about last week that we're still looking to purchase on. Current cash balance is 19.6 million. It is a high balance, but we do have anticipated high expenses for the next year. And then our last slide is an overview of cash balances within our closure and post-closure funds. So we have the two tenant way closure funds, the unlined and lined landfill. Unlined, we're at $950,000. The lined, we're about 8.8 million. And then we have the closure fund at headquarters, which we're about 28.7. And then the post-closure fund, which is at 10.1 currently. So we do have quite a bit of cash squirreled away to take care of that landfill once it's closed and over.
What category does it show up in that we're going to be a shortfall about $1.5 million. We did some adjustments hoping to get that down to $1 million.
Are we talking for the transfer station?
Yeah. Is that on any of those? Is it showing any of these?
So the transfer station is combined, included with the solid waste O&M fund. The goods and services on that revenue line is inclusive of our revenues at both the headquarters landfill and the transfer station.
Okay.
And then our expenses inside that services category, you'll see our waste control contract and then our third parties for disposals of household hazardous waste or other things included in that services line as well. So it is commingled and not easily visible.
Okay. And that's the one we did some adjustments to rates, hoping to get that down to around $1 million.
Yeah, we did a couple of years back. It's probably time for another raise. We'll look at that during the budget cycle here, looking at true
Is-
rates. To actually get that transfer station, I believe, to break even, you're probably looking at another $12 to $15 per ton. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah, about there.
We're at 62.50.
Yeah, 62.50 per ton. And I think we're at $12.50 minimums.
Correct. So
Yeah.
you'd probably be close to $80 a ton, $75 a ton to be break even at the transfer station. So it's subsidized by the headquarters landfill.
Yeah.
I gotta say that in regards to that, with the situation that we're in, I'm not really sure how long we can be subsidizing other jurisdictions for their landfill use.
That's it for the budget reviews today. If there's any additional questions on solid waste, so Mike's available.
And also water sewer is on the list today. Susan's out today. She'll be back next Monday. So we asked Kelly to reschedule that.
Okay. Are you, and in agenda items, are you handling
Yeah, I know.
the public works stuff?
Yep. Thanks, Sean. Mike Moss, Public Services Director. Sorry to introduce myself earlier. So the first item, number one on the consent agenda from Public Works, we talked the last couple of weeks about special market conditions for the John Deere haul truck that we're purchasing from a John Deere dealership in Meridian, Idaho, that we're hoping to get delivered here in the next week or so. So we appreciate the help on that cost for the landfill. Number two, from the email that Susan also sent to you guys Wednesday evening to the three commissioners about some of the background on the amendment for PBS. This contract does expire at the end of this year. We have a very large increase due to the fact of changes in the RCW mainly from ecology. We were just walking a certain path at the landfill that was approved for emissions. That's now gone to every 25 square feet, we have to do a reading at that point. So the grid has increased immensely at the landfill to the point now we're going to do it via drone because it's so far to walk the entire landfill and measure every 25 square feet. So that drone flight will be done this last quarter of this year, along with other procedures in place. So that's why that price has gone up that much. We are planning to go out to bid for next year since this contract does end at the end of this year.
What was it before the 25 feet?
There was a path that was approved that was a walking path that we could get done in about 2 hours. And now it's days.
Wow.
It went from the walking path to every 25 feet.
Yep.
It always amazes me because I'm going, what did they find
Yeah.
that they weren't catching that this is going to catch?
Correct.
Probably nothing is my guess.
So as statewide, of course, so not just the headquarters landfill.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just clarify.
What emissions, what's the drone gonna see?
They actually can read the emissions coming through if you have holes in your tarp or any deficiencies in your tarp, that's what the drone will fly over and see if the methane that's coming through the tarp system, instead of just doing a hand wand monitoring system that you walk to each of these monitoring areas.
How does it sense it?
That's probably a question past me. I'm sorry. I know they must have a certain sensor on there that picks up the gas, and I don't know what the flight level is, how low they fly over the landfill, each of those spots. We have this quarter here will be the first quarter we do it with this
I
company.
understand a hand wave when you're going through there.
Yeah.
But with a drone, you got 4 propellers up there pushing.
Pushing,
it
yeah,
away. I
Yeah,
don't-
it's been approved by the state to do it this way. So there's got to be a way. It might be a great day when we know they're flying. That maybe if you're interested, take you up there too. Might be a fun day to see this. You're correct, though. Yeah, the propellers and pushing down the air, and then it's dispersing it. How are you getting a true reading? So
Job security for somebody.
One of the problems that I have found with this job is that we try to make sense of things that the state does, and that's where we get into issues. Because it doesn't make sense most of the time.
So you tell me I'm overthinking it, is that it?
No, I think it's a good question. It's just
Yeah.
when we expect a common sense answer,
Okay.
is where we run into problems.
Number 3, the supplemental agreement with OTEC for Allender Road. With our busy schedule this summer, we're adding, we don't have enough inspectors for all our job sites, so this has been included into their contract to do our services for inspection on this job. It sounds like it'll be fully reimbursed, though, by federal funds for the additional $135,000.
Okay.
And then number 4 is this contract execution. You guys awarded the contract on August 4th to Western United Civil Group for this project, and this is just the contract execution.
On
And
number
Susan will,
three-
I'm sorry, Susan will be here tomorrow, just FYI. Yes, go ahead.
On number 3, Mike.
Yes.
Is that 597, is that payable to the overall, that's the whole contract, or is that a contract that we have with this third party provider for the services as far as the inspections go?
Construction support, so it's not actually for construction only. So that's for, I think, engineering and construction support. I can clarify with Susan. I wasn't knee deep on Allender Road.
Yeah, because I was wondering, we pay $135,000 for inspectors.
Yeah. I'll get an email to her so she's prepared tomorrow morning to answer that question, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And we have no motion item tomorrow, so that's the end of our consent.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't see, Jennifer, this looks pretty just in agreement with the state of Washington to assist them in maintaining noxious weeds and around right of ways, Mount St. Helens. That's nothing new. We do that with them quite a bit. So I don't think there's anything really new there. HR.
Good morning, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. On the agenda tomorrow is the 3-year collective bargaining agreement with the Sheriff Deputies and Sergeants Guild. This agreement covers 43 employees, 7 sergeants, and 36 deputies. The changes in this contract include for 2026, a 5% increase, and then for 2027 and 2028, a 4% increase on each year, as well as an increase of 3% for the sergeants in recognition of the additional responsibilities they've taken on for managing animal control and BHU. Other financial changes include the addition of a double time pay incentive for 6 high traffic holidays when a deputy is called in on unscheduled overtime. an increase to the uniform and equipment allowance of previously $675 to $1,000 to account for the rising uniform and equipment costs. And then an increase to the education incentive by 0.25% for AA or AS degrees and 0.5% for BA or BS degrees. The agreement also includes some language changes, including a safety release time to establish language to ensure the deputies receive sufficient rest following overtime worked for specialty assignments or emergency response, as well as language for lateral hire longevity and vacation, which allows qualifying lateral hires to receive credit for prior law enforcement service years. Do you have any questions?
On the 675 to 1,000 for the swag. I called it swag for lack of, I'm drawing a blank here. Your uniforms. That's a hefty jump.
So that number has sat at that level for quite a while. I'm not sure exactly how many years have gone back. I believe it was that way in our previous contract, but it is not just regular uniform replacement. It's duty gear. If you have something on your vest, if you have something on your duty belt that wears out, your boots, everything, all those things, like everything else in the world, have gone up in price.
So is that something that we'll just give you guys $1,000 and you use that money to buy it, or is it something that we buy and reimburse up to 1,000?
No, there was many, many years ago, a type of quartermaster system, and just the administrative cost of that alone made it very inefficient. This way, the deputies have this amount of money, it is taxed, but what they have left, they can use to replace gear as needed. Some people may have different replacement items than others.
So we don't have a standardized program where the county purchases those things for them?
Correct. Correct. My understanding was 30 or so years ago, there was a system like that, but it ended up costing more money than using this method.
That might be something that we want to look at. I can't imagine that having the opportunity to buy things in bulk would be not as cost effective as having individual guys go buy their stuff on their own.
Well, and the issue is that they're not purchased in bulk. One may need new boots, one may need new pants, one may need a new shirt, or different items on their duty belt. Guys will end up buying flashlights, maybe their red dot sight gets broken, something like that. It can be very particular to the individual, and I think that's why the quartermaster system didn't really work. We're not, if we were like King County, maybe if we were that big, it would make more sense.
Okay.
Who determines when the equipment's wore out? The person wearing it, or do you inspect it once in a while and say, hey, it's time to get a new shirt or whatever?
The only time that I would do that is if it doesn't meet our standards, if their holster's falling apart or something like that. But it is up to the individual. They are the person in charge of those funds. It is income that is taxed, and they are best to use it to stretch every dollar for their own good.
Do you know, just in rough numbers, with what you're wearing right now, what's the cost from head to toe?
If we count the vest, I'm trying to remember if that was somewhere around $8,000. It is not off the shelf stuff that we can get at Walmart. Even the boots, we get a little particular when you're wearing them for 10, 12 hours a day, every day. Just like any tradesman, you want to have stuff that works for you. So our shirts, our pants, all these things are going to be more expensive. They're usually different materials, so they hold up better. But you get wear and tear. You get, all these things that stick out from our waist and from our chest. They all rub on everything, and they all wear down over time.
Okay. So run me through the numbers one more time. Is it 3-year
There was
agreement?
something else that you said I wanted to ask about. But run through one more time.
So it's a 3-year agreement. The first year is a 5% increase. And then for 2027, it's a 4% increase. And for 2028, a 4% increase. And then an additional 3% for the sergeants with the new responsibilities for animal control and BHU.
It was the double time. Could you
Mhm.
explain that to me?
So if a deputy is called in for Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's, I think those are the 6 holidays. For unscheduled overtime, they'll get double time instead of overtime because they would already get overtime for those hours. So it's just an additional 0.5%.
So are we talking about, there would have had to been some sort of an event that would have had that happen, correct? Not just,
Or somebody calls in sick or, something along those lines. So they're not scheduled to work and they get called in.
On those specific holidays?
On, the high traffic holidays, not all of the county holidays.
Okay.
and obviously we would call in officers who are not scheduled for overtime first.
Sorry.
We would try to get officers who are not scheduled for overtime before we would call in.
So anytime you come in for a holiday, it's overtime regardless. So this is just an additional percentage because they're not scheduled for work. So anybody scheduled for work on a holiday, this is
Automatically
countywide,
gets overtime.
gets overtime.
Okay.
So there was no incentive to come in on your day off on Christmas.
I just learned something.
What's the anniversary date on this? When's the contract up? When does it renew?
So this is a 3-year agreement starting in 2026 to December 31st of 2028.
Okay.
Do we usually work these things in retro, like for 2026?
For
contracts.
our interest arbitration groups, correct. That's part of the agreement. We've been negotiating with them since about this time last year.
So the year that we're in negotiations with them, we don't know what that contract is during that year until the end of the year.
No, we started negotiations last year and this is at the conclusion of mediation close to arbitration. So typically we try to settle before the end of the year so we know what it's going to be, but we couldn't reach an agreement at the end of last year.
Okay. See, that makes it hard to budget when you don't know what the contract is for the year that you're retroing back.
How does this square with our comparables?
This puts us right midline with our comparables for 2026 because we have more of a clear picture for 2026. Now that we're in 2026, this puts us right in the middle. And then hopefully the additional 4% for 2027 and 2028 will allow us to maintain that mid status.
Okay.
You said something about helping us with laterals. What was that?
So if we hire somebody from Longview PD or, another office, another police office, then they'll receive their credit for like longevity vacation. Because if they've been working for 20 years at another entity, they come over with, those things when they come based off of our contract.
So they don't lose any of those.
Correct. Otherwise, it could be a significant pay decrease coming to us when they lose those longevity pay increases or their vacation that they've built up.
So those things don't have to align with whatever our contracts are?
No, it'll be whatever our contract is, but they don't start at square one with our contract.
Oh, I see. So wherever the next closest step is to whatever they're bringing is where we put them?
Correct.
Does that seniority transfer across and they keep all their seniority or is it adjusted somehow?
I don't believe they keep seniority because seniority is based off of how long you're in the bargaining group. So, you know, when you're discussing layoffs, situations like that, that would be different, but they do keep their credit for like vacation.
Okay.
The part of, I know, and I don't know if it's part of this contract, and that's my question, where there has to be a gap maintained, and I may be saying it between sergeants and officers, or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that part of this contract or part of their contract?
So this contract, the sergeants and the deputies are in the same contract. So the sergeants get a percentage above the deputies.
So whatever they raise up to, then it also affects the sergeants we have to maintain that gap, right?
This is the same contract. So the sergeants, currently they're at 15% above deputies. And because of the additional duties for animal control and BHU, we raised that by 3% in this contract. So they're at 18%.
But that differential, that isn't gonna change, the 15%. I think.
No, it's all within the same contract. It's different in corrections. They're in two separate bargaining groups. So when we start negotiating with like the corrections officers, that's how you see that differential in the corrections that we were discussing in the previous contract. This one, they're all in the same collective bargaining agreement. So these wages are set for the next 3 years.
$544 is what it is?
Yes,
I think you said 36 deputies and 7 sergeants that are affected by this.
correct.
And there's no more going back and forth right now after this?
Well, not if we approve it.
Yeah.
So the differential has been raised from 15 to 18 because of the animal control and behavioral health.
Mhm.
And the animal control officers, 1 person.
We have 2 and 1 part-time. And they handle an incredible amount of work. You might not be surprised to hear people are very enthusiastic about animals.
Yeah. Well, they do good work with that, but this really affects all the sergeants, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it maintains that gap, and we've just widened it from 15 to 18.
Yes.
So really, the increase is only 3% for the
Correct.
sergeants.
For the sergeants, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but it affects us in other areas of the county because they see it and want it. So I mean, I just sat through it, so I know it.
That's how unions work. How people work. They see somebody else gets it, they want the same thing or better.
Well, but in this case, we added the animal control
Correct.
to them. We gave that to you guys.
Always happy to have those discussions with our unions at 3 in the morning. We get woke up to come to work, so.
Yeah.
Okay, this has me, so the sergeants aren't part of the 544?
They're part of the 544.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 15 to 18 is a whole separate issue. They
It's
get
just-
the
it's-
raises,
They get the raise and then they get an
and they
additional
get
3%.
additional 3%.
So it's a COLA plus 3% for the additional work.
We raise the gap because they take on animal control, or they supervise animal
Correct.
control.
They
They supervise.
It's not all 7 sergeants though, is it? It's just the 2
No,
and a
it's all,
half.
It's all seven.
No, the animal control aren't getting the pay increase. This is the sergeants for taking on that extra work.
So with our coverage, any sergeant can end up supervising them. They can be working a patrol shift, or they can be the one that's available if the ones on the road are occupied with a call and they need some help with a situation. So
Right.
any of them can be responsible.
If
for
they're
any
doing
of
the
them.
job, they get the 3%, but if they're not doing the job, all seven sergeants aren't getting the 3% because maybe could be they're doing it. Right?
So they're all getting this 3% increase, but any one of them can be, and with our positions in the office, patrol is the only long-term one. If you're assigned to, say, detectives, that is at most typically a 5-year assignment. But a lot of them, like our detective sergeant, he spent half of last week as the patrol supervisor because people were out. So he was overseeing animal control as well.
So in the first year, the deputies are getting a 5%, the sergeants are getting 8%.
Correct.
And
Okay,
each year thereafter, it's only the 4%.
Correct.
but the gap stays forever.
Mhm.
And it just got raised from 15% to 18.
Is there any verbiage that if I'm not saying we're gonna do this, but I just wanna know, let's just say in 2 years, we take away animal control and we go to whatever, does that come back down?
There's no verbiage, but at the close of the contract, that could be renegotiated, that gap. But there's no like automatic, like this will be taken away if animal control goes away, but it's a 3-year contract, so.
Well, I guess like right now, do you have normal steps? Like if you're doing your regular job today and for some reason you have to step up to do a supervisory job or once you move up to do that job, you get paid that rate. But if you move back down, it goes away, right?
Yeah, we have payroll codes. If they're the supervisor for the day, we have what we call the officer in command. We make sure that there's a supervisor for every shift. They'll get that sergeant pay if they're working as a supervisor.
I guess I think I'd be more comfortable if the animal control was the same way. If you're performing animal control duties, get the pay, but if you're not, then it should go back to the 15% difference, not the 18.
Is that something we can go back with?
So this has all been discussed in executive sessions and this is based off of the tentative agreement we reached with the group, so.
Hmm.
That would be.
Okay.
You do feel that we can add that language of the animal control part of it if we get rid of animal control?
In this contract,
Yeah.
I think we should probably discuss this in an executive session if you're wanting to change the terms of the contract.
Well, I just don't want it to be to where if we're no longer doing animal control, that 3% stays there.
At the end of the contract, we can renegotiate the terms of the contract, but this is based off of a tentative agreement for the 3-year contract.
So if we get rid of animal control next year, we're stuck with it for 2 years?
we can go back to the guild and try to renegotiate it, but they could say no.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess as uncomfortable as I am with that one thing, if we already agreed to it in executive session, I guess.
And this is also based off of comparable data for sergeants and other sheriff's offices. This doesn't mean that they're making 3% more than other sheriff's offices of our comparables. This is based off of comparable data as well. So they're not making significantly more because of this, but this was a reason to give them the additional percentage as well, because
Okay.
they were behind. Our sergeants were roughly 8 to 9% behind the comps versus just the average deputy was about 6%.
Okay,
Anything else?
thank you. And I see have family promise at 10. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming over. You have an executive session?
Correct.
Should we just, since you're there, should we just take that?
Yes, I do have one HR request too, though.
Okay,
So HR request from OPD. They have had 2 senior defense attorneys resign. One was previously in the year and one is resigning effective September 16th, I believe. Ian would like to promote one of his current deputy or defense attorneys to senior to fill one of the positions. And then he would like to leave her position vacant. And then he'd also like to post externally for the other senior defense attorney. So filling 2 senior defense attorney positions and then leaving the regular defense attorney position vacant.
yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
I'm curious why he's leaving the one vacant because with all the rules, it seems like we need defense attorneys. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I don't know the reasoning. I know there's a couple things that he might do with his intern, so he might want to
Okay.
leave that vacant if his intern passes the bar, something along those lines.
It's his intern, and the other thing that he's gonna do is, there's a certain program that he's gonna see if we can get, to help him with defense attorney stuff. And if the Bar Association approves us using that program, then he can leave it'll
Okay,
do what 2 people do. So.
figured he must have a reason
That's
because
part of
he's
the-
usually
Yeah,
pretty,
I think it has to do with the intern because I know he wants the intern to come back once they pass the bar.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we had our prosecuting attorney in, if they hit it right, they don't even have to take the bar.
There we go.
That's true. Maybe they're in that group. We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, the lucky ones that graduated law school this year.
Okay,
That was my only request. And then executive session for performance of a public employee. I have 2 items under that, but probably we'll say 15 minutes total.
15, I'm gonna add 5 to it because I had something too, but
Okay.
okay, so. Yeah, I want to respect family promise that we should be back here by 10. That'd be good. All right,
Okay.
20 minutes. Okay.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 10:06 a.m.
Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered. Jessica, I'll turn it over to you.
I have one more request. The request is to reclassify the IT director to salary grade 605, step 7, which is $11,369 a month.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
That's all I have today.
thank you.
Thank you.
Gina. Ian, you joined us. Did you have? Oh, okay, good. I didn't want to blow you off. I personally have been excited to hear from you. Yeah. Oh, man, you shouldn't.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're gonna start, right? Hey, good morning. Gina James, Health and Human Services. We have with us this morning from Family Promise, Sarah Wallace, who's the executive director there. I just wanted to start with a little bit of history about why we've invited her to come share today. We've had some conversation about our consolidated homeless grant, and there's some funding that is still available in that grant that is not allocated to any community partners. And so we had talked about, we had went and met with Sarah a while back and talked about some prevention work they do and looking at that as a possibility for the grant funds. And so we wanted to invite her here to come share a little bit about what that might look like and about Family Promise. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and I will sit here with her in case there's other questions.
It's on. Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. I did a slideshow so that all the pressure's not on me. So we are Family Promise, local nonprofit. We've been here since 2019. Our mission is to prevent and end family homelessness. And we believe a short-term financial crisis should not become long-term homelessness. We meet families where they are to build a path forward for lasting stability. We focus on homeless prevention, eviction assistance. We have an emergency family shelter, case management, family stabilization, financial education, and self-sufficiency. We connect our families with community resources and support, and our programs are designed specifically for families with children. So the gap in the community that we're noticing, or the population that we're serving in our prevention program, are working families who are, most of them, well, all of them, aren't able to get the typical assistance that's in the community because it's geared towards or only for homeless people or families. So if you're already housed, you're not able to get those resources. The families that we want to reach are often encountering a short-term setback, like relocating, or the rent went up and they aren't able to catch up, so they need to move into something cheaper, or they missed work and they're behind a little bit. The family probably has enough ongoing income to afford rent once the crisis is resolved, but they just need that, one-time assistance. Prevention is so important. A working parent falls behind after a short-term emergency. Family Promise helps resolve the immediate rent or move-in barrier. The family keeps or secures housing that they can afford. Children remain connected to school, routines, and their community. Case management continues until the family is back on a stable path. The family moves forward independently with dignity and a stronger foundation. The family has remained housed and connected to vital services. Parents are then better positioned to maintain employment and continue building towards self-sufficiency. Preventing homelessness avoids disruption and trauma that follow the loss of housing. Public dollars can be used earlier when a smaller intervention may prevent a much larger crisis. Keeping a family housed protects children and stretches community dollars. The goal is to not enable dependence, it is to give families the bridge back to stability. So in this program, two ways to prevent, obviously preventing eviction. If we can keep families in the homes that they already have, that's the best scenario. This would look like short-term rental assistance, a job loss, a death in the family, change in composition, those things, or helping them relocate, as I mentioned. So helping with the deposits or moving costs. Deposits nowadays can be up to 2 times the amount of rent. And some people that have barriers, maybe bad credit, criminal history, or low income, have higher fees that come with moving into these units. So that's where we would come in to help their application maybe look a little better with that secure funding behind them. So our goal is always to support without creating a dependence. We would focus with them on budgeting, financial planning, helping family manage these future emergencies with connections in the community, problem solving around employment, transportation, childcare, and other barriers, connecting to our partner agencies to ensure wraparound services are provided. Families can identify what they can contribute towards these resolving the crisis. Case management focuses on their strengths, responsibility, and achievable goals. This assistance would be a hand up during a difficult season, not something that would be an ongoing subsidy. So we would do quarterly light touch case management. We would assist, stabilize, check in, and hopefully strengthen the family's overall situation. Families would remain housed or move into housing that they can sustain, evictions prevented, children remain connected in schools, kind of what I already said. This one, oh yeah, this one's after, okay. So some stats about Family Promise. 88% of our sheltered families move into stable housing and remain long-term since the opening in 2019. We started giving out funding in a prevention program in 2023. We've got some small private grants. We've fundraised, and every now and again, we get some restricted funding to do utilities, portions of move-in deposits, portions of rent. And with that, we've served 238 families with 567 children in our prevention program. I brought a few calls that we got, like examples of people calling and requesting for funding, what it would look like. There was a single mother with 2 kids, worked at the same job for 10 years, but can't afford a deposit. A single mother with 3 children, just got a new job, so there would be a gap between payday and when rent was due. And then a family of 4, looks like dad needs back surgery, and he's the main breadwinner of the family. So there would be that wait for the disability to come in. So those are 3 examples that we got on Friday of families needing help. Oh wait, I think we're missing one. Sorry. This one. It's not in there. Why isn't it in there? Okay, there's not one in there, but I'm gonna go over it. Can I bring it up to you guys? Yeah, you can show them. Sorry. So those are average like moving costs. So I think it says an average 2-bedroom apartment is between $1,425 and $1,480 a month. So when you're looking at 3 times that to move in, so you have the rent maybe first and last month and the deposit, you're looking at about $4,500 to move into a 2-bedroom apartment. And that's low from what I'm seeing. That's if you have no barriers. I think the next one was over 30%, 35% of families in the Longview-Kelso area pay over 30% of their income in housing costs. It said 15% pay over 50, but I really think it's more. I don't know what the last one was. Oh, we're working with a 1.5 to 2% vacancy rate. So when you have, 10 to 20 people applying for the same unit, what makes their application worth approving them. Sometimes it's the funding that can help them get that secured. Sorry, I don't know what happened to that.
Can I ask a question on
Slide,
your,
yeah.
those stats there? On the, I think you said 15% of people in Kelso, 50% of their income is going towards housing. Is it due to the housing cost and or their lower income, or is it both? What are you seeing?
I believe it's rising housing costs. It's happening so fast and people's incomes aren't able to catch up with it. So for a shelter family that I would see, our goal is to get them enough, we call it family wage, so that they can get approved for housing. That's getting harder and harder, especially with one income, because the rents are so high. And my families that are already housed, they're getting rent increases every year. $150 rent, their rent's going up. I had one jump $700 in a year because there's no rent control. That's, I think, the main reason. So what brings us here today at requesting, this is kind of what we came up with, is the prevention program expansion. The numbers would probably be similar to this. If we were to serve 40 families with around $2,500, it would be $100,000. We probably get 7 to 12 calls a day for funding. We can only help so many with what we have now. But eviction prevention, move-in, and then some admin, we need to hire someone to help us distribute. And that's it. Do you have any more questions?
If I remember correctly, when we went and toured your location and we got to talk and ask questions, your admin costs are right around 10% of what you totally bring in. Is that right?
I have a budget, a full budget in front of you that you can look at. It's in that folder. There was. It's okay though. I think I'll just go back. And this one.
You still get some support from the churches? I know some were given some each
So-
month or whatever.
Yeah, our goal is to reach, we would like to reach every church in Cowlitz County because I believe we wouldn't need much more,
Yeah.
except for things like this. Obviously,
Yeah.
this is different. We're campaigning for 100 for 100. So our goal is to get 100 churches, organizations, or individuals to do $100 a month. And we would sustain that way for the shelter program. And then anything else goes into prevention or other programs.
And I saw, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think was it Windermere?
Yeah.
They helped you get another room over here?
Yes, so we just opened up a 5th family room. It's beautiful. You'll have to come see it. But Windermere is our first corporate sponsor that we've been able to partner with. So they have a Windermere Foundation that a small percentage of each sale of their homes goes into this pot, and we'll be the organization that receives that for a couple years. We're that. So that was really exciting for us. We don't
Yeah.
have many.
So how many rooms does that give you over there now?
We have 5.
5
And
now.
2 of them can house 6 or more people. So that was what was really exciting about that room. It was a bigger room. We've moved so many things around there, and that what used to be a storage room. So now we've lowered the windows in the back wall, and we've been able to make it one of our larger family rooms. Yeah, that was exciting.
Gina, how many agencies actually work with families around here? I don't know. I'm trying to think offhand who would take in families like this, and I can't think of really much anybody else.
Yeah, I think most agencies serve more than families. They'll serve individuals as well, like Community House can serve families and individuals. I think Family Promise is kind of our specialized agency with families in particular, families with kiddos staying in shelter.
And I asked this, and I said the same things about Habitat, because I always worry about state funding or funding changing. Are there any rules that would change the way they do business? Because I actually like the way they do business now, and I don't, you know what I mean? They have some expectations.
Yeah, so there would be some contract requirements, of course. The particular budget line that we're looking at for this, it's called doc fee backfill, and it's the most flexible budget line we have in the CHG grant. That meaning they're not requiring, if we're funding something in that particular category, that budget line, Commerce isn't requiring some of the other components, like following their specific program model, for example. And
Yeah,
so,
that stuff concerns me because I think the
yeah,
program model is better.
yeah, yep. And so when I had vetted this project and a couple others with Commerce, and we kept it limited to that particular budget line for that reason, so that we could be focused on their particular program model and not Commerce's program model.
Yeah, I originally met with Gina and Sandra, and we talked about the consolidated homeless grants. I don't know a whole lot about it, but originally when I heard all of the guidelines, I said, no, no, thank you. It wouldn't be for us at that moment. And she had come back and we talked about it again, about it kind of fitting what we're actually doing, which is amazing because there is that gap of working families who aren't able to access the other funding.
Yeah. Well, you guys had the same concerns I would have, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a program, it may still be going, a while ago where families were staying at churches throughout the community and then we would go and stay with the family overnight. Do you know, was that you guys or was that somebody else, Gina? Do you know?
I've never heard of it.
Didn't that start with you where the churches would house and then
Yeah.
you guys, you
So-
guys decided it'd make more sense just to have one
So
stable
the
place?
basic family promise model was from 30 years ago was the churches in the community. It makes it about a third of the cost of a typical shelter, right? Because the churches will take that on, their insurance, their building, their people. So when we came here in 2019, that's how it started. It was a difficult task to keep it up because you need many churches. It takes a lot, but the pandemic actually shut it down. So we had 2 emergency shelter families across the street. Once we started opening back up, we realized how quickly and more stable it was to have the families in one place. And we kind of changed the rules a little bit, and the outcomes have just been amazing. They were in rotational model for about 6 to 9 months, and we had 1 family graduate in that time. I mean, we've had, I don't know how many, every 90 days, it's 90 days, so most of them are graduating into stable housing in that time.
So the 90-day program, and to the commissioner's point, I think that's where it started.
Yeah.
This saves them from moving furniture or
Yeah.
whatever.
I remember I actually volunteered and went and did that and was sleeping on cots, in
Yeah.
a different church with different families and stuff.
It was getting hard to get the support because after the pandemic, volunteerism has changed a lot.
Sure.
So getting those overnights was difficult. Obviously, when you do it, you become passionate about something and you do it and it happens. But that time in between was so hard to keep people passionate about it because we had to be separated for so long. So the churches that were originally housing the families, they still are on a weekly schedule with us, and they provide meals every night to the sheltered families. And any Christmas, so many different things because we work with, that's the cool thing about us is it's interfaith. It's every church, doesn't matter which denomination, we're all working together for the same mission.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So that, I know it's a 90-day program, so that 88% or almost 90% success rate or getting people housed, is that from the 90-day program or is that?
That's
okay.
from the shelter program.
Almost 9 out of 10 of your families are coming through successful on that.
Oh, yeah. We have like a very intensive vetting process. Shelter specifically because the families are living together. So background checks, things like that. But for the prevention program, also a very specific vetting process. I think that it's important to ensure that the funding that we give out isn't going to just delay the inevitable and get, maybe next month they would be evicted. So contacting the landlords, making sure that what we're doing is going to make that difference and then following up throughout the year.
So on that note, Sarah, when you do your background check and things, if somebody is actively using drugs, let's say, I don't know, I don't need to know what percentage of the people you deal with are, but is that something that you guys look at? So if they are, you're like, okay, I'm sorry, this program isn't for you.
We are not structured to help people who are currently active in substance abuse. So if they are and they're honest about it, we would get them help elsewhere. We would have to refer them out. We don't have in-house supports for that. I feel that if you come in and we're pushing you to get housing, get a job, and you're not ready because you're struggling with addiction, I mean, that's huge. I think you have to fix that before you can come in and do what we're needing you to do. Plus, it's a pretty independent program over there. Families are working, dinner. We don't have overnight staff. So it's a very honored system, but we would connect them somewhere and they can come back when they're ready. We do require 6 months to a year of sobriety before you can come in.
Good. Perfect.
And what's your ask? How much are we talking about
Well, the
here?
total was about 200,000.
Oh, is that what
Yeah.
that 200,000 blank, the filler on the?
Yeah, I don't
budget
know. I'm
was?
sorry. I don't know what happened to my slideshow. It put more eyes on me.
And well, within what we have with the consolidated grant, because we never
We
even get
do.
close to.
Right, we do. We have at least that much. And our current grant goes through the end of June. And so this funding would go through the end of June, and then we'll be, we're on the biennium cycle this year, so we'll look at a new grant, and what that funding looks like for the next fiscal year.
Who came up with 200,000?
I can't remember if we did or I did.
I think collaboratively we did. It's, yeah, for us, we get so many calls. I mean, when I broke down the amount of money that, gosh, it would go so fast. But I think that for us to be able to handle the amount of work that's going to come with it and what was kind of in the pot, collaboratively, we came up with that number.
So is that what that breakdown was on that last page?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Right, obvious, I don't have a problem with it. I like your program. I think you have benchmarks in there and tracking in there, and I think that's important because
Yeah.
As things change up here or as time goes by, you start going, well, is it really working? And I think it's important you keep track of
Right.
that.
Right now, we give out, like I said, utility assistance. I think the most we'll give out is $1,000 if we have it, because we have little in the prevention pot. So with this new program, we would do quarterly follow-ups. I'm excited to see that as well and see how they remain, how, I've worked with families who maybe, we want you to make more, right? We want to make you family wage so that you can progress. But they often lose other resources that they're accustomed to, like EBT, TANF. So teaching, helping them learn how to utilize the community in other ways, food boxes if you have to, things like that to get through so that you can, pay rent, for example. So
So of the 200,000, what you have here is that 170,000 is going to go to rental assistance.
yes. I just need to hire someone part-time to help me process the rest.
I'm good with helping. I like the program. I like what you guys do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So we'll get together. Then our next step will be to work on a pass-through contract. So we'll get going on that and bring that back in front of the board.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming over.
Thanks, yeah.
It's good to see you
Thanks for
again.
having me.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Let me practice my public speaking with you guys.
And I think we have one more item that I see on here. Helena just wants another term on the Veterans Board.
Yep. It looks like her term was coming up and she's
Done a good job
reapplied.
there.
Yep. She's at every meeting and participates.
Well, she has to put up with Kelly, so. Not you, Kelly, huh?
Oh, she's like.
Her husband, Kelly.
That was my only other item, right? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I did have a question for you, Kelly. I saw on here, and I think this is awesome, and I think we need to, the letter that Commissioner Rader was talking about. I saw our attorney had what I thought seemed like pretty decent ads,
I
or
do too,
we,
yeah.
we all good with that? Are those
I'm
being
good.
incorporated? And he
Yep.
had some ideas on where we send it out to that I thought were good too.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that.
I was gonna bring up. Did anybody respond to that Shauna Despain about the Community Behavioral Health Center wanting her to come and talk to us? We did.
I did not respond to it.
I didn't.
I didn't respond to her. I think I just sent a note to Kelly that says that type of thing sounds like a workshop type thing.
Okay. Oh, okay, perfect. And then the other thing is when, our engineer, Susan. When Susan gets back, this morning I'll forward you guys an email that I received on some more funding opportunities that we get federally for the flood prevention at the mouth of the Cowlitz. This one doesn't have a close date on it. It's a matter of when the funds are gone, they're gone. And Shauna emailed me and said there's still funds available. So, I'll forward it to you guys so we can look at it, but maybe that's something we want to talk about, seeing if we want more money for the dredging and if we can get some of that money.
Yeah.
Because what's nice about it is there is no close date, but the money is gonna run out if we don't get on it, so.
And since we're talking about money, 911 last week, we approved the budget for 2027. And what was included in that, they exist on an excise tax and another, and then there's user fees and user fees from the entities by bylaws or initial bylaws were if the other two didn't cover the expenses, and the user fees made up the difference. And we're part of the users fees, Cowlitz County, the fire districts or whatnot. Their budget is strong enough and they have enough in reserves that it meets reserve requirements, everything. So and the user fees run through the sheriffs, and it's going to be reduced in 2027 by 20, I want to say 22%, about 100, a little over 100 and some $1,000. So there'll be a little bit of savings there. The sheriff made a good case. Should be more because they have a lot of money, but I mean, that's a nice start.
Good.
And Dar assured us that it won't affect them. They'll be able to operate.
And we start health board members next month? Is that when we start doing those interviews?
Yeah, the applications are due by the end of August, so the
August.
31st, and then we'll start doing interviews the end of September and into October.
And is that process, we just interview them here publicly, or do we executive session? How does that work?
So you'll be conducting interviews, so you'll have your panel up here, and then they'll come, and there is some standardized questions that you need to ask them. So it's part of the RCW.
Yeah, it's kind of a formal process, and they gave us the questions from RCW they had to answer. If I remember right, they wanted us to kind of stick to that.
Mhm.
So everybody, you got the answer on those things from everybody.
Hmm.
We were a little bit discouraged from going rogue.
Off of those.
Not that it stopped Darn, but. Okay. All good, perfect. Thank you. We'll adjourn.